Hi everyone, it's Nicole here today. Welcome to the Waffle Flower channel. It's in the details, and today I'm sharing a couple of cacti cards. These are hugs themed cards featuring the brand new stitched cacti stamp set, and for my frame I'm using one of these stitched layers dies. These are awesome stamp sets. There's several of them in this Stitchery collection. I'm using the cacti here today. All of my stamped images are coming from this stamp set. So what I did first was die cut a rectangle panel from some smooth white cardstock using that largest stitched layers die. From that, I am using my Misty stamp positioner to start stamping the images. So I'm going to stamp the cross-stitch cacti image that has more cross stitches first, and I'm using the Waffle Flower Chirp Chirp ink. Then I even stamped it and inked it up twice. That's one of the benefits of using the Misty stamp positioner with this. Then I'm going to take the the sheet here that comes with your stamp set, and I've kind of removed a bunch of the images so I can lay it flatter. But I'm going to line up the second image with that. Go ahead and lay the stamp right over that second image, or that image. Remove or close the Misty lid to pick up the stamp, remove that sheet, and then ink the second stamp up with another color. And I think it's probably the most effective if you use another color in that same, or another shade in that same color family. So because there isn't another green ink from Waffle Flower, I chose a Simon Says stamp ink in Fern, and I think it coordinated nicely with the Waffle Flower Chirp Chirp ink. Once I have that, again, I'm going to use my sheet to line up where I want the heart. Once I have my two cacti in place, I want to do the heart next because I really want that centered as much as possible in my card. I just eyeballed it. Go ahead and pick up the heart. And I'm inking that up with the Waffle Flower My Pleasure ink. Again, I'm going to stamp that a couple times. You can see there's some light places with that first stamping, and I really want it nice and bold. I think I even did this one 3 times. I just love how it looks like cross stitch. I was a cross stitcher, I always call it in my past life, when I was younger. And so these kind of stamp sets are really near and dear to my heart because I love how they look like cross stitching without any of the actual stitching. Just a little ink and some stamps and just a tiny bit of patience to line everything up, and you can have some really awesome looking cross stitch style cards. I love the little beak and feet for the bird. Those were stamped with the Waffle Flower Oh Happy Day ink. Then I'm lining up the bird, same as I did before. This is with the New Fish and Pond ink, and I'm going to stamp that a couple times. I'm going to go ahead and grab my elements now that I want stamped in black, including the hugs greeting, the faces, and then the eye for the bird. I'm going to pick up those. Again, use my sheet to line up the eye perfectly. I can change a couple things if I need to. Ink those up with a nice black ink. And again, I'm going to stamp those a couple times to make sure that the greeting is nice and covered and everything like that. On the top of both cacti now, I am lining up the little flower. That is going to be stamped with some of the Waffle Flower Tickled Pink ink, and it'll really finish off the cute little cacti designs. I think the little interchangeable faces, there are, I believe, 3 different faces in the stamp set, and they are so cute. I think they really add character to the images and make them so super fun. Go ahead and do that for the second one. And this is basically it. This is the stamping. This is the main panel of the card. Now to frame it up, I am going to die cut some green cardstock now that coordinates with the cacti using that same stitched layers die. And this time, instead of using the inside panel, I'm going to use the outside frame. I went ahead and die cut the inside panel so I could do an inlay style. This makes the card almost a single layer card, which is fantastic for mailing or sending through the mail. Here's what it's going to look like. I'll go ahead and just put some adhesive all over a white side fold card base. Start with my frame. Lay that down really well. Need to get it even so it's not going kind of wonky there. Go ahead and replace that center panel. Now if any of it overhangs, I'm simply going to flip the card over and trim that off with my scissors. I think my card base was just a tiny bit shorter on that one side. I'm going to finish the card with some of my favorite Nouveau crystal drops. This is bottle green. I'll also use Morning Dew. I think they add just a fun little touch. They don't add a ton of dimension, and they're still very, very easy to send through the mail. I was having so much fun that while I had this stamp set out, I went ahead and created another card. This is going to be a portrait style card, and I'm going to stack the two cacti pieces one on top of another. Plus I'm going to add that same hugs greeting down at the bottom. I started with the Chirp Chirp ink again. You can see it was a little light there, so I went ahead and stamped it a couple times. I think maybe 3 times to get it nice and dark. Go ahead and take my sheet, line up the design, use my magnets to hold that in place. Go ahead and pick up my second stamp and stamp this with the Simon Says Stamp Fern ink. Again, a couple times to really get some nice detail. Then we're going to stamp the larger cacti greeting right on top of this, and all you do is line it up. If you use the reference sheet here, it makes it so easy to line them up. So I'm stacking them one on top of another. I think these would be cute, stacked one on top of another, just like I did the other card, and have them facing each other with a little heart or something like that. Take the second piece for the top part of the cacti. Again, this is the darker ink, the Simon Says Stamp Fern ink. Then the feet out of Oh Happy Day for the little bird. The bird, I have to admit, is probably one of my favorite parts. I think it finishes off the whole scene so cute. It's such a cute little bird. I love the little circle for its eye. I don't know why, but it just really speaks to me. I think it's so fun. Get those feet lined up, and don't be afraid to redo it. I usually tested it before I committed to stamping, so if it was slightly skewed, I would redo it, reline everything up, because you hate to spend all of this time stamping only to find out that when you ink it up and stamp it, it's not where you want it to be. So I would test it. I would line it up, pick it up, I would put my cover back down on my MISTI, make sure it was lined up, and if it wasn't, I went ahead and readjusted it, or even if I just questioned it, I would readjust. Now there are some cute little hills of sand that you can add. So for this card, I went ahead and added those down there near the base of my cacti. I'm using the Waffle Flower Coffee Loves Milk, and then for two-tone with the brown, some of the little hills were stamped with the Hero Arts Ombre Sand to Chocolate. And I thought those colors complemented each other really well and really gave some a difference in the different sand piles. I'll go ahead and stamp the little flower with the tickled pink ink first on top of the cacti. So here are those little sand piles I was talking about that I'm stamping with Coffee Loves Milk first, right there next to the base of the cactus. Then there's another little pile here. I'm going to line that one up as well. And this is that Hero Arts Ombre ink. And then I'll do another one on the other side of the cacti. And that's going to finish off the little scene here so cute. I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the first card, die cut a frame from some green cardstock, do the inlay style, this time on a top fold card base. And once I have this on the top fold card base, I'll add some little dots with the Nuvo Crystal Drops in Bottle Green and Morning Dew, just like I did on the first one. I will also need to trim a little bit of excess off of both, I think, a side and a bottom here. My card base must have been just slightly smaller. Here are those little drops again. So super easy. I think the bottle green just matched the inks colors perfectly. And Morning Dew is always one of my favorites, the clear color. I even used it over the eye on the birds. Once I have that done, I'm going to set those aside to completely dry. And the final thing I did was take a black gel pen and go over the eyes on the cacti just to make them pop maybe a little bit more. I really wanted their eyes to show up because I think their faces are just so cute and make them very customized and fun. Thanks for joining me today for these waffle flower cards featuring the new Stitched Cacti stamp set and Stitched Layers dies. For more product information, please visit waffleflower.com. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook for more creative ideas.